Good evening, everybody. This is Lethal Sales. We're happy to have you all here. Tonight's topic is part 3 of Overcoming Objections. I think we saved the best for last. I told Peter that if he needs somebody to whine about this last objection, I'm your man or woman. But we'll let Larry start and talk about the biggest objection of all that you hear from consumers.
Well, before we do that, we got such a dynamite group of people. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the people and maybe ask them to tell you a little bit about themselves. Peter, we have absorbed Peter Smith into this group as a co-host because he's just a terrific guy. He's one of the best business consultants out there. He actually shows dealers how to save money, how to run their businesses more efficiently. Marie Keith is on the line. She's joining our team at Career Changers. And nobody's met yet Rhonda's daughter, Sarah, but I am surrounding myself with women much smarter than me. And Marie is going to do wondrous things for us. And she's a blast to hang around with. Jeffrey Scherer has a bunch of car-related business interests. You won't find a better, more loyal guy out there. Jennifer, I know what you do, Jen, but it's your first time on the show. Give us 30 seconds and tell us what you do and how you do it. And you look fabulous. I don't know why you were so camera shy. You look much better than Peter and Mike Larkin, and they got right on camera.
They got right on camera. They look like they presented themselves well. Well, I have a history in automotive, in B2B marketing, and in business development, and I have about 12 or so years of leadership experience, building teams, both for sales and for marketing and automotive.
Cool. Perfect. Wendy Reeves is the BDC queen of North America. Not only is she sharper as a tack than anybody you'll ever meet, but I just haven't met anybody that doesn't have high praise for her. She's just, she's terrific. The rumor is that she's been dating Santa Claus, but she won't confirm or deny that, but we still love Wendy Reeves, my girl. Mike Larkin. Mike Larkin has some interesting programs that helps dealers, and he's become a friend of the show and a friend of us. Don Graff survived the storm in Florida. He's grabbing some dinner. He's going to join us shortly. He also has programs that help dealers make their companies make more sense. So let's get rocking and rolling. Jen, would you mind if I put you on the spot? Because I heard how articulate you were this morning on the AI human side. We went through a myriad of objections, and the one we didn't have time for is the top objection, which is it's too expensive. And I think I have the killer answer to that of all time, but I'd love to hear yours. You're with them, you're charming, everything's great, and then they hit you with it's too expensive. What would be your retort or your answer, Jennifer, please?
Oh my gosh, almost every time it's going to be, well, too expensive as compared to what? And then you usually have an example of something else, depending on what you're comparing against. For AI, is it more expensive than hiring a person to do the job, or 10 people to do the job that you might have to hire to actually do what this piece of software will do for you? Cool. So that may be one answer.
I love it. By the way, Tim Hayden is joining us. Tim Hayden is one of the brightest guys in the business. You talk about a guy that's got a handle on AI and every other aspect. Tim is the exact opposite of me. Tim like gets calls from Elon Musk about computer issues, and my iPhone has a rotary dial. I'm working off of the sun back. So we're always thrilled to see Tim out there. Tim, if you don't mind me throwing you a curve, we went through every objection last 2 calls, and we cut it off before we got to it's too expensive. And I know you're more of, and I mean this as a compliment, not as a knock, more of a nerd, brilliant with the tech stuff, but I've watched you handle yourself in public, and you're pretty damn smart. I fell in love with the car. You charmed me. You asked me about my family. Now I'm hitting you with it's too expensive. Jen's retort, Jen Sanford, who had kind words to say about you, sir, before you got on, was, well, too expensive compared to what?
Right.
And what would your
Right.
answer be? And it's so good to see you on the show, Tim. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it, Larry, and I appreciate all the things you said, true and false, about me. You know, I mean, I think right now, the quality of vehicles, talking to somebody about their cost of ownership, not the price of the car, right, is not just EVs, because EVs are winning that conversation hands down right now, right? But all vehicles are higher quality made right now. We've just got major big recall things we got to worry about as they get fancier with their gadgetry. But let's have honest conversations with customers about, this is the price you're paying today, and what you're going to get is more durability and longevity out of the vehicle, and we're going to be there every step of the way to make sure that you enjoy it and you maintain it, and you enjoy the longevity that we told you you're going to get. I mean,
Tim, did I just hear you say be honest with the customer? I just lost 40 viewers who were New York car salesmen. What'd you do there, Tim?
Yeah, probably a few in Florida right now that are underwater, and they don't want to be honest tomorrow. And I mean that with all the love for them. I mean that for anybody from Florida, I've been praying for you and my friends across that part of the country. But yeah, I just think it goes back to things we talk about till we're blue in the face about building a relationship with the customer. Quit being transactional. Quit talking about the price of the car and making something fit in their wallet or for their wallet on a monthly basis, and give them the value statements. Give them the value statements on, this is what you're paying for, is a vehicle that's going to allow you to do whatever you got to do. And you should know that by now, but as long as you've been talking to the customer, you should know what their life is like. They got soccer games, they got baseball games, they got grocery trips, they got dialysis trips, they got all kinds of things that they need the car for. And bottom line is just telling them how they're going to be safer and how they're going to be able to enjoy this for a longer period of time than any car they had before.
Got it. So Jen leans towards, at value as opposed to what? And Tim is going back to the most basic of the building blocks. I see my friend, good and great friend, Don Graff, is done with dinner. Don, they fell in love with the car, and now they're hitting you with, it's too expensive. What would you say to him, my friend?
Why do you say that?
Well, like, I got budget. It's I'm from Philadelphia, so they probably have to have a certain amount of money left over for methamphetamine, and the Dallas Cowboys suck. No disrespect, it is Philadelphia. So what would you say to them? How would you engage them? I mean, you are very engaging. Don?
What other vehicle?
For a minute, Don, I thought you passed out. And God forbid if you died and we had to bury you in that T-shirt. It's bad enough I got a Peter Smith stealing Elton John's wardrobe. Go ahead. And Wendy, stop interrupting Don, where he gets unraveled quickly. Go ahead, Don.
So first ask them what other vehicles are they looking for, and what kind of vehicle do they need for their needs, how many children do they have, what kind of activities do they have. If I was alert, I would have looked at their vehicle when they drove in and see if they had any Little League insignias or hot soccer balls in a car, anything like that, and I would have paid attention.
Okay.
To what I could pick up and use.
So,
not bad. We got Pete. Before we get to you, we got Wendy Reeves on. Wendy Reeves is the friendliest person on earth, but she has a problem. She's the BDC queen, which means that a lot of the things that matter more than words, your facial expression, your tone, they can't see. So Wendy has to be extra clever, and she's been confronted like we all have. Wen, love the car, but it's too expensive. What the heck would you say? You got to take yourself off the mute button. No, and Wendy, don't be embarrassed. Every day I get a call from Bill Gates. Larry, how do I shut my computer off? It's the on button, Bill. It's frightening when you're the tech guy. Go ahead, Wendy.
I always have problems. I'm the first one to admit I'm extremely flossum.
Girl, not only do I love you, but you're wearing Buddy Holly's glasses, them black frames.
Yeah.
I love it. She may break into
Um,
Peggy's suit, Tim. This is going to be a hell of a show. Go ahead.
Seriously though, I sell appointments, not cars.
Okay. All right. You know what?
No. Seriously though, what Don said when he said, "Why do you say that?" I like conversation. I like stories. I like to relate to whatever it is that they're feeling and figure out their mindset. So I would probably start the same way. Why do you say that?
Dragnet, it's the dragnet effect.
Because maybe they're on the wrong vehicle, right?
The more we get them to talk, the more we're going to figure out. I always say, if anybody on the show is sick, you call the doctor. Hey, I think I have COVID. I pulled a muscle. But if it's well, it looks like Jen's got a cat. If it's your cat or your infant, it's scary because we know something's wrong, but they can't articulate. We can't solve a problem until we say it. Look at this. Jen didn't want to be on camera. Now it's her, the whole family, the menagerie. We're going to get pictures of the family reunion soon. You know, you got to be careful with you, Jen. Tim Hayden told me you were a camera hog, but I thought, no, let's invite her anyway. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's always Jeff Scherer starting trouble. Jeff, it's too expensive. What the heck would you say to him?
I think it's really important that
This better be good because I'm watching Jennifer get attacked by the tail of a hairy creature. Go ahead. Jeff.
I think it's important that you want to validate their feelings, but you don't want to really validate that question. Because if you just
hold on. I'm not kidding. I got to interrupt him. Think of how brilliant path he's going on, because we all learned a long time ago. You never say, well, what? How much do you want to pay? Because no matter the car could be $4 million, they want to pay $300 a month. And since we no longer have 100-year mortgages at 2%, they're not going to pay $300 a month for a Bentley. Go ahead, Jeff. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And if you don't answer correctly, you have run the risk of validating that question that, yeah, man, it is too expensive. So you have to be very careful how you choose your words. And I think it was said earlier, tell me more about that, or, what makes you think it's too expensive? Explore that, but don't validate it, because if you validate it, you're done. It's
so
really
what I'm hearing from every damn one of you, and every one of you is right, is it's, as always, it's less about talking than it is about thinking and listening. And by the way, are we lucky to have so many brilliant women on this show, from Rhonda and everybody else. One of them's missing. April Simmons texted me. She wanted to be on the show, but as Wendy and Jen will attest, she sounds like Joe Cocker. Our voice is half shot. I told her to take some hot tea with honey, but she really wanted to be here tonight. Brilliant answer, Jeff. Mike Larkin, what do you got, my buddy? They say it's too expensive. What would you say?
I always agree. I always say, hey, you might be right, but if
Mike, wait a minute. I just realized you're married. You agree to everything anyway. Okay, you're just scared of your wife.
Yes, and I don't even do it with an accent, because we don't have accents in Connecticut.
Yeah.
New York does and Boston does. We're right in the middle. So, but to answer your question, you might be right. But what if we were to divide the cost in monthly payments to fit your budget? Would that be a way that we can move forward with the deal?
So Mike's deferring by we all know the people I'm speaking of that have the programs where the payments bifurcated and it's split up. I love it. I cannot believe my eyes. We must be rolling because it looks like Martha's on the call. Man, do we love Martha. Martha, like Wendy, you have to be brilliant over the phone where they can't see your facial expressions. What would cross your mind if somebody loved the car, you built rapport, and now they're telling you it's too expensive? Let's hear some pearls of wisdom. And thank you so much for joining us, Martha.
You're muted, Martha. Yeah. Still muted.
Martha, if you'll hit that little mute button, unless you're just ignoring me, which is a common trait of anybody who knows me. But whenever you unhit that mute button, Martha, just jump right in, because we would love to get your opinion. Love it. Let's see here. Who didn't we get to? Man, how the heck could we not have asked my man Peter Smith?
There you go. So This is my favorite topic of all objections.
Hello?
I
Oh,
love it.
I'm so
Whoa,
sorry.
whoa,
No,
whoa,
sorry.
whoa, whoa. You got preempted. Martha,
Oh.
we're so glad you're joining us. The topic is, it's too expensive. Now, obviously, the guy that I just preempted you for was Peter Smith. And Peter Smith, the guy was selling him a shirt, a pink shirt. He said it's too expensive. And the guy explained it goes all to, charity to the blind guys that knitted that. So there we go. So what would you say, Martha? It's too
Okay,
expensive.
First of all, I apologize. My phone got frozen and I couldn't unmute myself. Okay, thank you so much for the chance to talk. Okay, so Larry, I heard that you said that you love the vehicle. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, I'm so happy to hear that. Let me ask you, what is that you love the most about
Hold
the
on,
car?
stop. Here's one of the reasons that Wendy and I have a big crush on Martha. Right away, it didn't even matter what the hell she said. She sounded so happy and her voice was rising. Oh, tell me what you like. I think we spend so much time when I got into business with nonsense scripts that we forget that it isn't even what you say is more important is how you say it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Martha, but your enthusiasm is overwhelming. Keep going, please.
No, thank you. So Larry, let me ask you this. What do you like you love the most about this vehicle?
Got it. So again, everybody here realizes that you can't fight with the customer because when you win, you lose. So they're backing up. Martha, because I'm smart enough to know that women are smarter and better than men, I keep adding dynamite women, not only to the call, my team. I have a young lady who is just going to blow your mind how smart she is. Marie Keith is going to be part of my team. Super proud. And she just texted me and said, Larry, please let me answer because I have a great answer. You're on the spot, girl. And then we'll come back to you, Martha, if you need a rebuttal. Go ahead, Marie.
Great. Well, I think the important thing is when the person first comes in and you're sitting down with them, you're finding out all their hot buttons and all their buttons that they're pushing. So Mr. Feldman, when he came in, he told me about the fact that he was taking his car in for repairs all the time. And now suddenly he can't afford this car, so I'm going to remind him that the cost of these repairs are only going to be increasing. So I think that each time there's no specific answer. So you have to have taken the time to really listen to what is driving that person into you the first place and keep reminding them of that driving factor, whether it was they hate the color red or the seats aren't heated or they don't have enough room for their family. You have to keep taking them back to the main thing that drove them into there that day and reminding them that they that's what they came in for, and it's just not satisfying your need when you came in here right away.
Cool, I love it.
Hello.
All right, we cut off my man Peter twice. Peter, go ahead. You're up, my buddy.
Okay, I'm gonna just feed this one right into Tim's wheelhouse. The very first thing is data is the currency. The more data we have on the customer, the more we have in the bank to make this happen. So when we look at it and we say, we know the customer's having problems with their current car. The interest rate that they were paying on their last car was at 8%, and now they can get the same car at 2% because of an incentive. We have all the information. We extrapolated that information. Now we have it. Now, going along with the next question is, why is it too expensive? What was your expectation for this? And why do you think it's too expensive? Now, when we deal in cars today, we have guys like our good buddy Don from Ohio that can ship a car anywhere. We turn around and we can get a car from any one of the states, any one of the provinces, and it dropped in our driveway after we purchase it. We don't have to buy from the local dealership. So why are we at the local dealership and why are we complaining about $500? Okay, well, $500 in today's economy is a lot of money to a lot of people. It means the world to a lot of people. Okay, how long are you going to own this car? Well, I'm going to own it. The average lifespan is 4 years. That's $125 a year when we amortize it over 4 years. That is 30 cents a day. 30 cents a day is the difference between the $500 we're talking about and you owning the car at your local dealership with a dealership that is going to service you properly. Because I can guarantee, and I've worked in the business almost as long as Larry, maybe about the same time, that anybody who has a plate frame from another dealer doesn't get the same dealership service that the original dealer does. It's called long-term customer value, and that's what we're building. If we explain it honestly and transparently to a customer, they will buy off you, they will pay more money off you, and they'll be happier to do so. And that's how I overcome objections. It's basically the 1906 close by Zig Ziglar. Break it down to the minuscule.
All right, here's I think I have, if I've been grappling everybody with humility forever, and I've been winning. Humility keeps losing. But I think I have the best too expensive close in the history of retail. Before I jump in with it, does anybody else have any other thoughts? Because I got one that's going to make you all smile. Nobody? Okay, good. I'm at my dealership. I didn't own it yet. I'm working there. And I hear a manager tell a customer, I'll never forget it, it's only $963 a month. It's not that much. Now, this is 1989. Do your own extrapolation. Okay, what's that now today? 1,500? That's a lot of damn money. I don't care how rich you are. And I thought, as much as I kid around with customers, and I've always been nuts, Marie, always made people laugh, disarmed them. I don't disrespect them. I have fun with them. I think it's disrespectful to tell somebody it's not expensive when obviously to them it is. So here's what I came up with. And man, have I made a lot of money off this damn thing. When people would tell me, and remember, my dealership was in Trent, New Jersey, as hard scrabble and as blue collar as you're ever going to get. When they would say it's too expensive, I'd say, you know what? You're right. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm on a budget. Boy, is it hard to keep. But I bet you work as hard as I do. That was my trigger, because as everybody in this business knows, they don't perceive us as hardworking guys. They may think of us as pirates, but not hardworking. And I used to say, I bet you work as hard as I do. They'd look at me and go, are you crazy? Man, I work 10 times harder than you. You ain't even got any dirt under your fingernails. I'd say, I believe you. If you work that hard, tell me why you don't deserve something nice. Now, what's smarter? Psychoanalyzing somebody, making them go backwards, or looking him in the eye and saying, I believe that you work that hard. Don't you think you deserve it? I'd never in my whole career ever, people I've thought ever, as anybody called me and said, no, they said they didn't deserve it. I think by just forget about thinking outside the box, by trampling your way right through the box and understanding, because we beat people up for being cheap. And as I've told my buddy Jeff, we always laugh about it. The thing that we hate most in other people is what we recognize in ourselves, right? Doesn't everybody know somebody that calls everybody else a cheap bastard and they're the cheapest person you ever met in your life? So it drives me crazy when I hear salesmen say, can you believe it? It was only this much. And then the same guy or ladies on eBay for 4 hours trying to save 3 cents on a CD. Once we forget to empathize and understand that they have the same concerns we do and they want to get the same value, we're cooked. Does that kind of make sense to everybody or to anybody?
Absolutely.
CD.
Yeah, I'm old, brother.
Wow.
My band's finishing up a new thing. We're actually, I know it's going to be available digitally, but it'll be a CD. The Real Fugitives and the CD's called Never Far Enough. We're going to Jen, there'll be a listening party at Pete's house. Obviously, with that shirt, we know he's got the good hashish. It'll all be like Jimi Hendrix's second record, you know? Mike, what are you laughing at? We know you're stoned with that baseball cap. Wendy, is there anybody I haven't tortured or insulted? I want to be thorough. You told me I have to be thorough on these broadcasts. Just don't mess with my girl Martha. That's what you said.
I don't think Martha was finished. I think she still had something to say.
Go ahead, Martha. God forbid I would interrupt anybody I love as much as Martha. Go ahead, Martha.
She's muted again.
Martha.
I think she's under the weather. I don't know if she.
Yeah, Martha and
Oh,
April
hello,
are
can you
both
hear
under
me?
the
There she
weather.
is.
There she
Yeah.
is.
Oh, I'm so
We,
sorry.
we
It's because I'm a nap,
resurrected
right?
Martha. Go ahead, Martha.
Can
What are
you?
your thoughts on? You've heard my opinion. You've heard everybody's. And again, this is another out of the park hitting it BDC person. Unbelievable, and has to deal with every goofball at a dealership from management on down, and handles every one of like a true pro. Martha, what do you think? Some more thoughts on it's too expensive?
Yeah, so first of all, when you said that, you said first, you say you love the car, but you think that it's too expensive. So something that I like to do is I like to focus on the positive. Okay, I like to say I like to show empathy at the same time, because we wanted to dig and find out where the customer is at. There is a reason why they were looking for a vehicle, correct? So empathizing and asking them what is that they like about the car, what is it that they love about the car, is going to help us to have a better understanding of what are the main needs that they may have on a vehicle, because maybe sometimes we're just definitely on the wrong model, wrong trim level, or we just needed to build the value. So after that, I like to go, and I was sharing this with Wendy earlier today, into something that Toyota teaches us that is called LACE: listening, ask, confirm, and then educate. You want to listen to what they tell you, positive or negative. You want to ask a little bit more information about where they got that feedback. Sometimes it is expensive. Why do they think that it's expensive? Is it because they saw it maybe on the website as just a listing, initial price? Is it because somebody else bought a car and they told them that it was less expensive, like cheaper than what they actually thought it could be? Maybe it was the wrong trim level. Okay, trying to get all of that feedback and then confirming what they're telling you, because the message can be lost even on a face-to-face conversation. Okay, and then educating them and trying to rebuild that value on the vehicle, or try to launch them on something that it may fit their needs and at the same time fit their budget. You want to find out where they're at with their budget. So, but all of them being done showing empathy and understanding that what may think it's expensive to you is not going to look expensive to me. And everybody's on the same situation right now. Right now, especially, everybody's trying to save money, interest, and everything. It's not as easy as before. So we want to also educate on that area to the customer. That's the kind of like approach that I would take.
You can't beat it. Is there a better word to use as a salesperson than empathy? There can't be. It looks like Jeff raised his hand. Go ahead, my buddy.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we had Christine on, and we talked about
Christine Robertson.
I brought up the question, do you ever see anybody at the dealership, or many, that hasn't already been on the internet? So I'm going to plant a flag and say that it's too expensive. If that comes up, there's a lot more to it than there was 5 years ago, right? Because people are using the internet. They already have an idea. They've probably seen the sticker on the car. And you could say, great, let's take a look at some other options, right? Again, I just think there's so many other ways to attack it now. People already have a taste, I think.
Mike, one of the things that you just brought up there is we all understand the internet is actually here to stay. Some people like Larry, it's a newfangled thing to him, but it's going to be here for a while. But we all know, based on every single study out there, it used to be multiple dealerships that people would visit. Now it's down to 1.2. So anyone saying that the price is a challenge, they already know the price. They already know what their payments are going to be. There's so many payment calculators out there that will tell you, based on your credit score, within $5 what your payment's going to be when you walk into that dealership. It's already pre-approved. Half the people using DR are going to know everything about it. They just want to come in and confirm that that's the color, that's the car, they like driving it, and it's too much is their get out of jail free card that they can exit. And the only reason why they leave is that they're not heard. they don't trust who they're dealing with, and they feel that nothing is being as transparent as what they were shown on the internet, and that's why they leave. So overcoming the price issue is it's almost irrelevant. They already know the price.
Well, Peter, couldn't it be that they're negotiating with that line? That's their opening negotiation line?
Yeah, it could be. And that's why you go back to that statement of why. What is the challenge here with the price? Is it the payment? Is it the overall capitalized cost? Is it the terms? Is it the vehicle? Is it what is it that is too expensive? Why? You were the one who came in. You knew the price. Now, why is it now? What is the challenge? We haven't heard the customer, or we haven't given them, and unfortunately he's not on the call, but Doug Reeves and I have been on many different calls about the total dealership experience. We've transcended past customer experience. We're going to dealership experience now. And if we're not giving that dealership experience out there, price doesn't mean a damn thing. And we have to get the people to love and bring that value proposition, not just on the car, but on us as well.
And Peter, and Jen, we're going to jump to you because I see you unmuted. But one of the interesting things that never changes is if they like you, they're more likely to buy from you. And if there's enough rapport, they're going to pay more. It's just a fact. Yeah, that's why repeat referral business, A, is so easy and B, is so lucrative. Go ahead, Jen, you unmiked. I know you got some important salient to say.
I just wanted to say, what if this is not on the car they looked at online? They've come in online based on a car they saw online, and now they've fallen in love with something else, and that's too expensive. So it has nothing to do with all the research they've done. It's with, they finally chose your dealership. They finally came in to talk to you, and they found a better car.
The only reason I'm interrupting you, Jen, is
no, go right ahead.
No. You read my damn mind, which is scary because I'm twisted mentally. Peter, she is about to say to you what I was about to say, but I saw Jen unmuted, which is 4 out of 5 people buy something different than what they came in for. So the arguments, I'm on your side, Peter, but the argument's a little specious to say they already know ahead of time, because what we all love and pray for is that they switch, because then they haven't had a chance to research. I'm sorry, Jen. It's just we're absolutely on the same wavelength.
Absolutely, and that goes back to my entire career was built in the premium business, and I can tell you, when people come in and look at a BMW 3 Series, they want the 5. When they look at a 5, they want the 7. When they came in on a C class, they want an E class. When they wanted whatever product I was representing, they always wanted something bigger.
Hey, hold on 1 second. I need to clarify. Wendy, as much as I love Peter, he's a Canadian snob. He's talking about premium. In Trenton, a Hyundai Sonata was premium. Okay. We take the little Mercedes badge and put it on the back. Go ahead, Peter.
So in recognizing that is realistically, again, back to bringing it down to the minuscule, is saying, yeah, the actual cost is significant. If we look at different opportunities, someone might have come in on a finance and switching them to a lease, so bringing them into a vehicle that is well within their price range without putting them into, as Larry hates, the 72, 84, and 96 month terms, because at that point, all you're just doing is putting that person in a grave.
Well, that's called a lose-lose, my buddy. Exactly. That's where you think you made a couple extra bucks, but since we're not trying to sell one car, we're trying to sell a ton of cars to a ton of people. That all that beautiful positivity goes out when they come in a couple years later and say, I love it, Larry, but it's time for a new one. And you realize you just buried it. I never understood how people could get stuck into 84 and 96 months. How short-sighted can we be as an industry?
I'll give you a quick story. I lived in probably one of the highest per capita earning cities in all of Canada. And in that, leasing a company is about 80% in Canada versus every other way of purchasing. Everyone leases. Ford came up with a 2-year term on F-150s, and they put them on the XLTs, and it was a 2-year program. They were leasing out $50,000, $55,000 F-150s out at $229 a month for 2 years.
Wow.
They were just rolling them through. You wouldn't believe on how many people that of extreme means bought pickup trucks because they could have a new car and because of the acceleration process with leasing, they could have a new car every 12 to 14 months. And they bought just because they could do that. No, they couldn't do it with any other brand except for Porsche, but they did it on that. So it's reading the room and understanding that people will do things that are beneficial to them in their own belief system. It doesn't matter what money is. It doesn't matter that. You have to bring that value to them to make them happy, and then that's when they feel that they've been heard and you're transparent, and they will continue to do business with you for long term.
Wendy is very polite and raises her hand when she wants to say something.
Go ahead, Wendy. We love to hear
Okay,
from Wendy.
so, and this goes back to Martha saying something about, or maybe it was Marie saying something about the customer experience, and I just want to relate this to what you said, Peter, about how you and Doug spoke about the customer experience, and then it's transcended over into the dealership experience. I want to explain, because I've been doing, I had kind of gone away from the in-person consulting for a minute, simply because everything I do is referrals, and I don't, so people come to me and they tell me what they need. If they need a BDC 911 because their BDC stinks or they don't have one and they're not converting any leads, then I can do a couple retention campaigns for them, and my work from home teams can boost whatever their team's doing. However, if they have a broken BDC, if they have people on staff that are there and they're staying and they don't have the churn and they keep trying different things, brain damage, they'll put a Band-Aid on it. They'll try it for 60 days, they'll outsource it, and then they'll say, let's give it to sales. Then they'll say, let's give it to this. What's important, whoever's working your leads, is that you're communicating to the customer the same type of dealership experience. They're envisioning a dealership experience that's actually going to be delivered. The problem is, I'm speaking I'm mixing a little Gringlish in there. Before COVID, we had to actually sell appointments, right? And there was a lot of get them in. Now, obviously, I used to say GAG, greet, acknowledge, be relevant, go for the appointment. Now you got to add the empathy in there. And I think that it's super important, depending upon the line, because as Martha was stating, I'm with a group right now that has a Chevy store and a Toyota store. They're distinctly different processes. It's a distinctly different mindset. The Toyota side, they're simply order takers because there's no allocation. There's, they're not trading. People have done all their research. They're far down the funnel. However, that's another call, because I don't believe you can put any type of buyers in one box. Because going back to your point, Larry, I think the exact percentage is like 83% of people buy something different than they first went shopping for. Point is, we're still selling from when the inventory started to go away, where we had to turn everything into an inventory call and have them on a vehicle before we brought them in, because either A, it was COVID, they needed an appointment, or B, we didn't want to piss them off if they were coming to 2 hours, now that we were finally getting some trucks on the lot, etc. So they had to do a lot of the process online, etc. Now we're going back to an increasing amount of inventory that's aging. And they've got aged units, they didn't mark them right, but what they're still doing is they're confirming availability, and they're treating everything like an inventory call when we're selling appointments, whoever's selling them, as opposed to, yes, that F-150 is currently available, as well as several close matches, because then you're not putting out as many fires in the dealership. The salespeople aren't brooming them off the lot. when they say, when they're like, oh, the BDC says whatever they want because they get paid on appointments. And then they broom them off the lot, or they pre-qualify them, they check their credit, whatever. It has to be about financing and vehicle options so that we can sell them a vehicle, not that vehicle. And that's what I got.
I'm sorry, and I'm not able to mute myself because I don't know if you saw the chat. I can't see. So if someone can mute me, that would be greatly appreciated. But if not, may I share something?
Please, please, Martha.
Okay, so I meet with my sales teams every week. And every week I ask them what are the challenges that they've been facing, throughout the week, so we can go over them and try to like practice or overcoming objections. So this week, after being out of the dealership for almost 2 weeks, they told me that most of our customers are asking for rough numbers. So like Wendy said, every brand is going to be different. I have worked with Chevy, Maseratis, Alfa Romeos, Hondas. Toyota customers are very loyal to the brand. They're not going to go into something else. They don't switch too much. They may switch trim levels or cars, but we don't see them switch them to other brands. We have seen a different, behavior in the last year or so because of the inventory. But we still, the last 3 months, I can tell you this, we were getting phone calls first asking, do you have a vehicle in inventory? Then we moved to, what is your markup and when will the vehicle arrive? And now it's, when will the vehicle arrive and what's your, rough estimate of best pricing? So it's pivoting and changing the word, the way that we're going to approach every phone call, and understanding that we don't have as much inventory as other brands have right now. We're still, having 4 or 5 vehicles on ground. Most of the inventory that is incoming is pre-sold. So it's teaching not just the sales reps, but also the BDC reps to sell on something that the customer has never seen. We have a long waiting list for Prius Primes, which most of these customers have never seen them out there, because the car got released in June, but they're waiting for the car and they're not going to switch into something else, and there is nothing on the pre-owned inventory, so we can try to show them. I have 3 fleet units that arrived this week. Customers have been coming to take a look at the car because they wanted to see it. We cannot test drive them. We cannot even get inside because we don't have the keys. So every brand is going to be different. Every brand in the training that we need to give our salespeople is going to be a little bit different, and the challenges are going to be different. Not only that, I have a Toyota dealership like less than 10 minutes away from each other, all facing the same challenges, some of them with a little bit more inventory. My major competitor is along with Toyota, which is the #1 Toyota in the US. So anyways, it's approaching the call, and like to your point, Wendy, when you're working with the Chevy dealership and the Toyota dealership, sometimes it may seem like that we're order takers, but that's what the customer wants. We just we present the options, or training the teams to present the option, show them everything that is available, digging for the pain points and the actual needs to see if we can switch them inventory. And if not, agreeing with them and keeping them on the loop. You will be surprised how many times the customer say, please, please, yes, give me a call as soon as you see something incoming because this is the only vehicle that I want. So
Hey, Martha,
it's challenging times.
You know what's interesting too? Tying your point together with Wendy and throwing in a counterpoint. I understand where Wendy's coming from when she says order takers, but think about even within that parameter, there still has to be personality, energy, and a plan, or else everybody at a Toyota store would sell exactly 9 vehicles. But in every Toyota store, every Chevy store, I averaged 31.5 cars a month at a store that did 150 cars and had 12 other salespeople. There was nothing exceptional about me. I didn't want to be bored. I came in with a plan. I called everybody. I made everybody laugh, and I followed up like my life depended on it. So I understand what she's saying in the sense that it's an easier sale. They've done their research, but it's still the beauty of this situation is, and don't forget with Chevy, we might be facing a United Auto Workers strike. God forbid that happens, and they put an even bigger crimp. Now is the perfect opportunity. Really should have been while we were making boatloads of money to start retraining people, because so many salespeople have forgotten how to sell, how to listen, how to answer the phone, how to smile.
They don't know exactly.
How about this, Larry? How about understanding expectations,
Mm-hmm.
setting them and setting reasonable expectations both for the teams and for the customers so that they can be exceeded rather than be deflated because they don't get what they want.
I like it.
Understand?
Hey, we haven't heard from my girl and newest member of our team, Marie, or my buddy Mike Larkin recently. Mike,
What about William down there? William just joined us.
Yeah. Hi, William.
I like when you said people have forgotten to smile. I think the masks have a lot to do with that. And I think people have forgotten to smile. And I think that we've gotten cold and used to that. But
Marie, hold on. I know I asked you to speak, but William Granada is on the line. For anybody that doesn't know, William is my parole officer. He's the last guy on earth I want to piss off. Words of wisdom, my buddy. We're talking about, I already gave my world famous, it's too expensive close. William, you've dealt with 1 million customers. They hit you with it's too expensive. What's your thoughts, my good and great friend? And thank you so much for joining us. And then we'll jump back to Marie and Mike Larkin.
First and foremost, it's always a pleasure to be surrounded with professionals. I'm going to apologize. I always seem to catch the latter half of it. But to answer your question, Mr. Feldman, you know, if anyone tells me the price is too high, and the root of it just means what were we hoping to accomplish when we left the driveway or wherever they came from in the very beginning relative to the research that it's been done. One of the things that I think has been lost, and you know, I think Peter does a great job in presentation, you know, relative to training, and you know, Mr. Maxwell and you, Mr. Feldman, do a great job of it. You know, if we just get back to basics, which is listen to people. Listen to what people are trying to accomplish. And if you listen to them properly, the path is right there. So my key to everything just goes back to basics. Listen to what people say. And if the price is too high, it really means something else. Because they're big boys and big girls. When they left the driveway in the morning, they knew what they were doing. Those are my two cents worth of wisdom today.
Hey, William, you know, you've got that background on your screen. Are you actually driving somewhere?
Yes, sir, I am.
I was going to say, because if not, if you're wearing a seatbelt and you're not driving, Wendy, I think I'm really getting too rough with this show. They got to strap in to talk to us. That could be ugly. Maria, I'm sorry. I just saw my buddy William and I wanted to get him in.
no worries. And you know what? I do think people do business with people they like. Hands down.
No question. No
Hands
question.
down.
So I'm just going to extrapolate from what William was saying there and agree with them absolutely wholeheartedly. Active listening, critical thinking. That is the key to this business on a retail level. If we're not listening, we do not get the data, which is so important to move forward in the sale.
Hey, if you don't mind, I haven't heard from my buddy Mike Larkin in a while, and Don Graff is still with us. Mike and Don, let's hear some words of wisdom. You've heard what everybody else has to say. We love your input.
Real quick, guys. When I was younger, I didn't understand the difference between sympathy and empathy. But my old father, God rest his soul, he used to say, "Hey, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes." That's empathy. That's a skill. And people get that mixed up with sympathy, and they don't know the difference. At least, you know, I see that a lot of people don't know how to walk in somebody else's shoes. And I see that as being a tremendous skill. And, you know, I mean, people need to learn that skill, especially in the car business.
Michael, before we jump to Don Graff, not only don't people know it, it's a fading skill.
Yeah.
Because we've become cruder and coarser as a society and so much more focused on us rather than the people around us, that it's really scary. You know, it's Dale Carnegie 101. If I come up and tell you all about me in 10 minutes, you're bored. But if I ask you to talk about you, you'll talk all day. We got to show that we care and we listen. Mr. Graff, are you still with us, my buddy?
Looks like he left 2 minutes ago.
We had to
Don-
get back to, Don had to
Don-
get back to the halfway house. Very, very sad, very sad.
Yeah, he's out.
No problem. Marie, you're hearing this. I know you've done recruiting for every darn thing possible. That's why I'm so excited. Have you worked in the car industry at all, Marie, or with car people? Because if not, I'd love to. Everybody on this darn show is involved with the car business. If you're not, in today's thing, give us an honest opinion of what you see as an outside assessment, because I think we're all a little too close sometimes to gauge it. Please.
An outside assessment of what? This group?
No,
Or
no,
just buying a
No,
car?
no,
we
this
don't want. We
listen.
don't want to know that, Marie. Don't do
this
that.
this group's mentally disturbed. Who would choose to spend an hour with me? Please. I mean, you almost have your cable shut off. No, I'm talking about as an outsider's view of the car business, because that's what we're talking about.
Right.
And when you're this close, sometimes it's you know the old cliche, can't see the forest for the trees.
Well, I think, I dread when I have to go buy a car. I'll be honest with you. I absolutely dread it. And I think it's because I am a salesperson. So I kind of know. I kind of know what's going on. Even if I'm going in there and I'm looking at another car, I'm sitting there on my phone and I am Googling, I'm looking for every other place that has that car with the same exact features, and I'm going to negotiate that price down no matter what. No matter what. It's just, it's even if I can afford it, it's just something in me that's going to do that, because I want to walk out feeling like I got a deal. I want to walk out feeling like we all like a sale. You go into Kohl's and at the end of the, you go through everything and it's like, look how much you saved. Yeah, but look how much I spent.
Marie, I was kind of hoping you'd go in one other direction, although what you said was brilliant. 80% of buying decisions are influenced by women, and they buy more than 50% of the cars. And yet most women hate going to a car dealership. It's like they're in a strip club. They get called honey, sweetheart. Guys are looking at their butt. I'm talking down to them. It's ridiculous, because let me tell you something, Wendy. Bruce Springsteen is a liar when he calls himself the boss. Mrs. Springsteen is the boss. Guy can be 19 feet tall. He's still scared of his wife. So once again, how do we correlate this and have this make sense? Let's make sure we correlate with the person that's usually in charge of the checkbook and usually in charge of the household finance. Macho guys don't like to admit it, but this is the way the damn world works.
Right.
And if I sound a little overly feminist, keep in mind I got the best marketers on the planet with Rhonda and her daughter, and I'm adding Marie, who's off the chart good. And I just saw Golda Meir, the Golden movie with Helen Mirren, and it's everything
fabulous.
with Israel, whether you're Jewish or not, is a miracle, because the country's this big and they're surrounded by enemies this big, and they keep whooping their butt. But again, it just, if we don't listen to our customers, if we don't build rapport with our customers, if we don't show that we care, and you don't have to care because you're Mother Teresa. Let's care because we want them to come back and buy more cars and tell their friends about us. Nothing is stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive. We've all had it. Man, you're really nice. Wendy's had 1 million people say to her through her BDC, you folks are really nice. I just spoke to so-and-so Motors and they were creepy. I can't tell you how many salespeople said, you know what, Feldman, you're crazy, but I really like you. And then they get on the phone and tell their buddies.
Larry,
so once again, go ahead. I'm sorry, Pete.
I'm just going to be a typical Canadian and interrupt.
Well, at least you could have done was say, hey, I'm right. That's your national catchphrase there, right?
Pretty close.
With Wendy, it's some kind of Greek curse word that nobody understands, but everybody named Stavarius smiles. I got you, didn't I, Wendy?
So having said that, I'm sure you've been to Chicago a few times, like we all have. And there's a restaurant in Chicago called Ed DeBevick's. And Ed DeBevick's is a restaurant where they treat you so poorly that you bring friends to show them how bad you're getting treated. And that's their model. Now,
we've had that in Philadelphia, the ambassador.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Yeah.
So I have a good buddy of mine that works at a BMW dealership, and he's in the top 10 BMW salespeople in Canada, and he always has been. Now, he is the most abrasive person I've ever met in the car business. But he deals with two things. He says, I sell every car at list price, every single one, because I deserve to earn a living. Because you're going to come back and you're going to demand things from me, and I want to be paid for that. Second thing is that because he sells so many cars, he has such a pull with BMW, and because of that, he can get cars fixed a lot faster and get a lot of stock faster than anyone else. So he says, hey, you get the good, you get the bad, but you get what you want. And that's one of the things out there. And it just reminded me of just this business as a whole, that we can ask for more money and we don't have to bend over backwards. We as salespeople, and as Maria says, I go into a dealership and I expect to get a deal. But we also look at it as salespeople, as vendors. We go into a situation, we go into a dealership and we say, hey, we want to charge what we want to charge. But the dealership turns around and asks us for a deal. And it happens all the time.
Martha,
Now,
did you notice how we spun out of control? We went from Martha hugging everybody to Peter singing the praises the most abrasive person he's ever met. And by the way,
So,
I'm a
hold
little
on, hold on.
insulted that you know somebody more abrasive than me. I'm gonna have to try.
Now,
harder.
there is a moral to the end of the story. When I was actually in the legal field for a number of years, and I went to a seminar in Richmond, Virginia, and it was called Divorcing the Wealthy. And it was about how to deal with wealthy people. And the very first thing that was said in this seminar was basically kicking them in the ass and tell them that they're not so special, and making sure that the expectations were that they were a person. And every single people that we deal with, time in, time out, day in, day out, everyone's a person. Everyone's a human. They deserve to be treated with the exact same respect at all times, regardless of.
Speaking of persons, our girl Martha unmuted. Martha, did you have a comment about our abrasive friend from north of the border?
Oh, no. I'm enjoying actually the conversation. I was wondering if I was muted or not. I was like, because I can't see.
Martha, I got news for you. The way my show's going, I think we're going to take off the mute button.
Okay.
Delete.
Go ahead, Martha.
No, I would say like I'm really enjoying the conversation, and going back to the point where someone was talking about, I can remember the name about the experience for the ladies at a dealership. And also about the way that we talk. I think what I have noticed on our area is that most of our sales force are on the mid-20s right now. Okay, which is a great opportunity because they have a different approach when it comes to, like, treating our customers. They do have forgotten though to show empathy because they're more like, I wouldn't say materialistic, but they're like in a different type of communication level, right? They're always on their cell phone, social media, stuff like that. But they don't have that.
Say that again, Martha. You went into the matrix. You started to say they don't have it, and then you faded.
About like how they treat the ladies different, and they sometimes ignore. They have that type of behavior that we know they don't take that up to raise to them a better experience, because at the end of the day, they are the ones, the decision makers. I wanted to add that when we were talking about it, but I didn't know if you were muted or not, if I was muted or not.
Well, there's one other thing, Martha, if you'll allow me to throw in the mix. First of all, we're unbelievably happy you joined the call. And you said you're really having fun. Jen jumped off, Tim jumped off, shot a message. What a great time. Do you know why I sold so many cars, ran a successful dealership, and I have the fastest growing training and recruiting company? It's because I'm fun. Forget about the technical nonsense. I'm the biggest dope on earth when it comes to tech. But people like me. And if they like you, you're so far ahead of the game it blows every other measurement out the window.
I think when you allow the people around you to be original and to feel comfortable on their own skin, that's an advantage. And that's also the thing that we need to do. Like someone was talking to say that we have to remember that they're humans too. I mean, like, and the connection is going to be built up once that would make them feel like that.
Yep.
Hey, Larry, can I jump in and just say something real quick?
Of course you can.
We lost him.
We want to hear you, but you fell into the matrix, my buddy.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Better.
We can hear you perfectly now.
I said, you just said something that piqued my ears, and it's a learning for all of us. Even if I didn't like you, because the fact that you just said people like me, when you put that out in the atmosphere, people are going to be curious and say, well, why should I like this guy? Even if they don't like you. So the fact that you just said that and say, people like me, that's a portion of self-confidence, but it's also an affirmation as to what you want them to believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, listen, as usual, we ran a little over. What a dynamite group of people. I cannot thank every one of you enough. I am so happy to welcome Marie to the team. I know April Simmons was with us in spirit. It was so great to see Tim and Jennifer and all my friends. We're going to come up with a dynamite topic for next week. I'm going to, Wendy, I know you keep texting me. I'm going to try to come out of my shell and be a little more outspoken. I'll work on that.
Yeah, Larry, you gotta help me. You stop being so shy, man.
Does anybody have any thoughts before we roll out?
Yes.
This boy, was this a great? Yes, sir.
Yes, I do. I just want to put it out there that I know collectively that everyone on this call and everyone out there in our realms is their thoughts and prayers are with the people of Florida and how they have to endure what is happening to them right now, and that their thought, they're all with us right now. We're all as one.
Beautiful way to end and wrap things up. Thank you all so much. Really hope to see you again next Wednesday. And by the way, if anybody has a cool topic, throw it the heck in. This is definitely a democracy. We like everybody's input, and we cannot thank you enough for being here.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Happy
See you next week.
Labor Day weekend, everybody.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Everybody
Have a
stay
good
healthy,
day.
and hopefully
Bye-bye.
we'll see you next week.
Excellent.
Ciao for
Take
now.
care.
Good night.
Bye.